Hey, good morning. Bear down, Chicago Bears. It's Monday and it's Bears time. What's happening? Happy Monday. Little Monday morning quarterback. What a week. What a first week of NFL. I watched quite a bit of football yesterday. Normally, I don't watch Sunday night football, but I did eBay Live last night. And so I had the game on in here. And I'm glad I watched last night's game. What a game. What a game. Wow. So we'll talk a little NFL today. Talk eBay Live. It was a good weekend on eBay Live. Now it's like, gosh, what do I've gone through so much. It's really fun. I'm at a crossroads with eBay Live in terms of what I'm listing because I'm able to move some stuff like 1990 score Joe Montana's for $8, which I have plenty of. But at the same time, the more you run of that sort of thing, it's just you want to have a nice mix and balance. And I just didn't feel right yesterday because I didn't have any like modern. I didn't have any Malik Neighbors. I didn't have any Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Brock Bowers and all that. So, but I still plowed through. I still did better than my expectations based on what I had. But it's I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what should I do with lots? Sometimes lots do really well. Sometimes it's like, oh, that didn't go well. I did well on some baseball lots. Some stuff I'm still surprised. I think I need now. I did better on baseball last night than I should have done because what was the thumbnail? And it was like I was promoting all football. And I basically did run a majority of football. But it's like, duh, the reason I didn't sell any baseball or I didn't get baseball was it wasn't promoting it. So I just hate – I think maybe when I do a niche show, I think it just needs to be smaller. Like instead of 200, 250 auctions, do a small 100. Like if I do a baseball, refractors, and color, because I've got so much of that, and it's like I want to run this, but it's not going to sell because I've been promoting football. So that's the thing. Today is an off day for eBay Live. Today's my shipping day. Got to get out all the Saturday and Sunday items that sold. And then I'll probably do a live tomorrow night. And then the rest of the week, I do want to pile up some lives this week because I'll be out Saturday and Sunday. I may even do, depending on how the week goes, I may squeeze in like a Saturday daytime show before I head to my reunion. So I'll probably end up just going straight there since my mom's out of town. So I might just go straight to the reunion. We'll see. So yeah. So in that blows a weekend out of sourcing. Although I could go the back roads and stop in Freeport and go to the Jennings card shop and dig through their boxes. Although I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, it was a good weekend on eBay Live. Good weekend in football. Ernie woke me up again this morning at 4:30. He's still getting me back. He's paying me back from Saturday when I woke him up at 4 a.m. And again, I wanted to sleep in, but Ernie did not allow that. 4:30. Of course, I went back to sleep. But then he woke me up at, 7:30. What time is it? It's 8:30, so probably 7:30. And he pounced it. I'm like, I'm just going to ignore him because I was awake. Like I was on my phone and I'm like, I'm just going to put my phone down and then I'll put my phone down and go back to sleep, and then he'll settle down. Because if I'm not home, he like sleeps through the night with my wife. But I wake up at multiple times. Not multiple, but usually one or two times in the middle of the night. So, and then when that happens, he wakes up. So that's I probably was tossing and turning, then woke him up at 4:30, and that's why he got up. So, So and then at 7 or 7:30, he's pouncing. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend I'm sleeping. That'll settle him down. Nope. Then he jumps on me. I'm like, okay, I guess he's got it. And he didn't even have to poop. He just had pee again. He just peed 3 hours prior. I think he just wanted to go sniff the neighborhood dogs. So I got up this time around. So here we go. So yesterday I did I do any more cleaning? I did a little bit of cleaning. I wrote down, I wrote so yesterday we had an intervention, and you guys were my therapists, and I wrote down what I'm going to do, how I'm going to get my disaster of a card room picked up and organized. So the first thing, which is pick up trash, which I did. So I emptied out the trash can. I filled up 2 bags, and it doesn't even look like I made a dent. Doesn't look like I did a thing in that room. And I filled up 2 trash bags. So I told my wife, I'm like, I filled up 2 trash bags, and you can't even tell the difference. It doesn't even look like I did anything. And she's like, did you take the trash bags out? And I'm like, well, no, they're still in the room. Well, take them out. It'll make you feel better. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It'll make me feel better when the room is clean. And she's like, well, it makes me feel better when I throw things away. And I know. We've been together for 12 years. I know. I don't have those same feelings. I don't have those same feelings of throwing trash away and making me feel better. So I'm still in the midst of, I threw a bunch of cards. In fact, like half a trash bag was cards, and like modern cards and like good name players too. But I'm pitching them. That'll go viral if I post it. People love seeing cards in the trash can. So actually pick up trash. I can mark that off the list. Pick up trash. I did that. Because number 2 is throw away the cards on the floor. So all the cards that have been stepped on and that got knocked over in piles, I did start. So I'm still in the middle of doing that. And then number 3 on my list, clear shelf in card room. So that's in my card storage room. So I have a place to put my other stuff. And then take the stuff that I clear from that shelf, take those boxes to the storage unit. And then lastly, move all excess boxes from the shipping room to the open shelves. So, and then somewhere in there, I've got to like sort, but I don't want to do that. That's my ADD kicking in. Well, I've got to, and then that's how I get in such a disarray. So we're going to go through the list, and then we'll tackle everything else from there. So that was my Sunday. I also, before tomorrow, the new cleaners come tomorrow. So I do need to tackle, I'm going to have to go out of order. And see, this is what happens. This is this spiral because it takes too much time to do this. And I can't go down the list because I've got to get this room, and this room's okay. Basically what I need to do is everything in here, I'm just going to put in the shipping room, and then we'll get to it later. However, I've got to take, all right, so we'll just devote an hour to cleaning up that room. So I need to make a new list. What's my side job? My side job, I've got to get my shipments from this weekend's auctions. I've got to get those sorted, which I love doing, like small lots and singles. Here I am, ADD kicking him in again. 3 eBay Live auctions fit in one 3-row shoebox. I love that. So anyway, back to it. So I've got to get the rec room. I've got boxes in the rec room. And my wife's like, no, this has got to go. And I'm like, I know. So that's where I'm at. So I need to make a new side list, sort weekend auctions, tackle the rec room, shipping. And my wife's like, so, and I'm like, no, I've just been, she's like, did you get it? So I actually shipped first in the morning yesterday, and then I tackled the trash situation. So when I went upstairs, my wife's like, you getting more cleaning? I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm shipping. This is the problem. There's not enough time in the day. And when there is like an hour or two free time, I like don't want to work 20 hours straight like I did on Saturday. I did take a nap yesterday. So once I got through shipping, and I did finish up the shipping that I needed to get done. Once I got through the shipping and the cleaning, I took a break. And it was like 3:30. It was after it was after my first live stream yesterday. So I went upstairs and I'm like, I'm exhausted. It's like, how'd you do on your live? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, all right, it's time to clean. I'm like, no, it's time to take a rest. I worked 20 hours yesterday. I need to take a nap. So I went out onto the porch. Windows are open. Nice, crisp, late summer afternoon. Turn the Packers-Lions game on. Go Lions. They stunk it up, stupid Packers. And went inside. I'm like, I need a blanket. I just needed a light blanket, fresh air. Man, I was out for like an hour. Solid. I'm pretty sure I got into REM sleep. Solid hour and a half nap. It was one of those where I woke up groggy, which normally I don't like those kinds of naps, but I did yesterday. So I was a little groggy when I woke up. That's okay. Grilled some burgers last night. Another eBay Live. My eBay Live numbers, or my eBay numbers, was targeting 40% year-over-year growth. My numbers through yesterday up 258%. 258% growth year-over-year from January 1 through September 7th compared to the same time period in 2024. Quantity sold is up 23%. My average sales price, it looks like I've kind of plateaued. We're at 101% on that average sales price. And obviously my buy it now sales are way down. That's okay because the money's in the auctions. All right, let's go say hello to the chat. East Coast Tom checking in. Happy Monday. Good morning. Kyle is here. Good morning. Ditka 73. Vikings -3 is my prediction. The Bears. Let's go. Hopefully the Bears look good tonight. David in the house. Good morning. Bills, Ravens. Great. What a game last night. I had the game on. It's like, oh, here's another Sunday night blowout. Ravens up by whatever. I saw a stat. In the history of the NFL. Well, actually, let me find that tweet. I bet it's there's that yard. The Ravens had a 99.1% chance of winning with 4 minutes and 48 seconds left in the game. So it's got to be a top tweet somewhere in here. That's insane. I had somebody in the chat. They're like, they're like, you're kidding. The Bills won because they must have turned the game off. For the first time in 278 games, the Ravens become the first NFL team to score 40 points and rush for 235 yards and lose. That's not the stat I was looking for. The stat was like 3 and 2,700 win-loss record. Getting a lot of probabilities. Come on. What an insane game. All right, I'm not finding it. I'm on top. Here, I wonder if I do this. No. All right. Anyway, what a game. Glad I had it on. I actually paused my auction at the end. Like I was doing like play-by-play at the end without the written consent of the National Football League. Because I was getting ready. The last couple plays were like coinciding with my last auction. So I was doing singles auctions, which is okay. But then my last auction was a 3-minute progressive. I'm like, I'm not starting this progressive auction with this game on the line. So we took a break and did a little play-by-play and waited for the progressive until the game was over. Philly Joe, good morning. Gem City. How about Daniel Jones? Probably the star of the weekend. Daniel Jones. What a game for the Colts. Stuke's in the house. Good morning. What's going on? East Coast Tom says you can only sell so much crap for way over comps. Always need to pick up new inventory. That is true. It's a delicate balance because I want to get rid of my crap, but I also have to have new stuff. Like doing a football show and not having like the top 5 most requested names is kind of a disservice to my customers and, to me to build that customer relationship. So I wish I would have had some time on Saturday to get to Bonsai to just pick inventory up just to move or anywhere. Hell, Walmart, buy some blaster boxes. I probably would have made money. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll source from Target and Walmart, buy some blaster boxes just to have some modern football. Tiger 727, good morning. Peter's here. Happy Monday. You can combine my Saturday and Sunday wins. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chris, good morning. Mom out of town, party at Bo's house. Yeah, just like high school. Just like high school. Mom and dad are away. Low Roller says, how do you feel about the host card show kicks you out in a card show? If you're making deals in bathroom hallways, you probably heard the news. Yes, we talked about it. Are you going to? No, I'm not going to do that. I think that promoter's dumb. And if he was looking to go viral, he was successful in that regard. But no, I would never do that. I encourage people to come in and sell their shit. I did discuss that. I've discussed this topic multiple times, in fact. So yeah, I am not a fan of that. I would never do that. Tiger says, outside of looking at my eBay feedback to see if it's removed, does eBay notify me if I contested negative feedback? No, they will not notify you. Okay. Outside of looking at my eBay feedback to see if, So actually, I misspoke. So if you request removal of feedback, you will get notification whether it's removed or not. And usually it's depending on when it is. If you requested the removal over the weekend, it's probably going to be today before you get notification. Normally sometimes if it's usually egregious, it's removed quickly, like within an hour. Sometimes there's maybe a little more, I don't know, maybe they're on lunch break or something, but usually it's within the same day. If it's a weekday, it's usually within the same day. Now, I will deliver some bad news. eBay is not really removing negative feedback anymore. They have basically stopped removing negative feedback unless it's like an extreme situation. So you're probably going to see, and I'm still going now. I'm still going to, despite that news, I'm still going to, if I get a negative that I feel is not, is not legit, I'm going to request its removal. Sometimes I know it's not going to get removed, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sometimes I do it and I expect it not to get removed, and it does get removed. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a no-brainer for removal, and it doesn't get removed. So it's a crapshoot. So good luck. Good luck. Cody, good morning. Mark's in the house. What's going on? Good morning. Florida baseball card dude in the house. Good morning. Cooter says, don't let your storage unit become a trash compactor. I know. I do have some trash that I need to take out that's in the storage unit. Michael Renicky, good morning. If you see the sign that you can get kicked out of the card show if you're making deals in the bathroom, yep. East Coast Tom says that promoter won't be promoting for long. Collectors will boycott the show and dealers will stop setting up. Well, according to the promoter, it's dealers that were complaining. And his whole thing is, I'm doing it to protect the dealers. So there is a gray area, and I've talked about this multiple times on here. I definitely disagree with his Facebook post and just how unprofessional that was. There are certain circumstances where it's, if you're a customer that comes into the show and you set up at a cafe table at the hotel and have your shit spread out like you're setting up at the show, that's a no-no. If you go to a dealer's table and try to talk to another customer at that dealer's table, that's a no-no. Now, if you're two customers standing there and you just start a conversation, if you're both, say you're digging through a bargain box and this guy's got a pile of Caden Clarks and there's no communication between that customer and the dealer, and the other person goes, "Oh, do you like Caitlin Clark? I've got some Caitlin Clark." I think that's okay, as long as you're not pulling a customer away from a dealer's table or interrupting a dealer-customer interaction. I see no fault with that. But so it's not like I'm not going to go up because somebody, if I say I completely disagree and no, I'm completely opposite of that belief, and then you counter with, well, what about this? And what about this? Nothing in life is black and white. There's always a gray area. So that's my thought process. But Cody says, 1 of 1 away from completing a rainbow 2024 Jackson Churio black and white. Very nice. Congratulations. Low Roller says, so you wouldn't go to that card show if they kicked you out of the card show. If you made other deals, other people. There you go. No, I tell the promoter to get bent. Amen. Get bent. Cooter says, you need to put a full-size trash can in the middle of your card room. Your little waste paper basket can't handle your volume. That is correct, sir. That is highly accurate. Only 40. I also saw scoregami. I'm shocked that there's never been a 41-40 final score in the NFL. That is shocking to me. Like, I know the higher the score, the less probable it's, or the less, a 23-20 games happen, like, because I was going through the scoregami page. I'm shocked. Would you have, I never would have thought that. In the long history of the NFL, 41-40, I would have expected to happen at least once. It's the weird, like, 13-11. I don't think 13-11 has ever happened. There was a game that was something like that, ended up being 13-8. And so the scoregami or 5, so I don't know whatever the score was, but 13-11 I think would have been a scoregami. Low Roller says, Bo is the host of the card show. I hope he doesn't follow the footsteps He's not following the footsteps. Smart promoters encourage trading. That's why trade nights are so popular. Unicorn Cupcake says, what if people make deals outside the show, like outside the doorway or at the bus stop? There you go. Unicorn says, would you have given the ball back to Philly's Karen? This is an interesting topic. We didn't touch on this yesterday. So it happened down at the Marlins game in Miami. Phillies Marlins. And this Karen came over. So basically how the video played out, if you haven't heard, Phillies Marlins, this was, I believe, on Friday night. There was a home run. Harrison Bader hit a home run for the Phillies, and it went into the stands. Now, there's not much attendance at Marlins games, and the home run went into, I think it fell into a seat where there was nobody sitting. There was a lot of empty seats around the area. So a dad, he had 2 kids, a son and a daughter with him. A dad raced over from like the next section, several seats over, into that section to get the home run ball. And there was a couple, Karen and her husband. They were sitting like 1 or 2 rows behind where the ball landed. I think it was 1 row behind. And so she had reached over, and I think somebody else near that section was going after it, and then dad from the other section. And dad pulled it up and got it, celebrates, takes it back, and he gives it to his son. How about that? Yay! Give it to him again. All of a sudden, Karen comes over. She comes storming over and just gets in this guy's face. And he's like, that needs to be a GIF. Scared the shit out of him. And his kids are just looking on like this crazy Karen is going like, that's my ball. You stole my ball. It's like 60-year-old woman. You stole my ball. His kid, 12-year-old's got it. You stole my ball. So she kind of goes on for maybe less than 30 seconds. And he finally just like gives up. and takes the ball away. And he's using it as a teaching moment that, sometimes, I don't know. It's one of those things where a lot of people are like, oh, that dad's a P word. I'd stick up and I'd big meatheads. Here's the thing. You're in that situation. You want to de-escalate the situation. I get it. Like, I get from he's got 2 kids there. Do you think he wants to fight a 60-year-old woman for a baseball in front of his 2 kids? And she's obviously not letting up. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done in that situation. Because sometimes you're like, dad instincts would kick in and you'd be like, you're sticking up for your son. You're like, no, I'm not giving you the ball back, and get the hell out of here. Or you might just be like, just get this woman out of here. It's a freaking baseball. But things turned out. The Marlins came over. The Marlins gave them a bunch of stuff. They got a meet and greet with Harrison Bader, got a bat from Harrison Bader after the game, who hit the home run. So they didn't get the home run ball, but they got a really cool experience, thanks to both the Marlins and the Phillies for helping that out. So that was turned out pretty good, but still, in unnecessary situation. So there was some discussion about, is it okay to race over from another section to get a home run ball? Again, in certain situations, no. If it's a sellout and you're racing over and pushing people over, no, of course that's not okay. But there were a lot of empty seats. If you want to go back and watch the video, there are a lot of empty seats. And he didn't have to blow past anybody to get to that ball. So in that situation, I say, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You are welcome, Tigers. Low Roller says, I just want to sell my base cards at a card show, but I have no choice if anyone wants to buy base cards at customer. Just don't go to Lake Worth, Florida, and you should be okay, because he's probably the only card show in the country that's going to put down those rules. Tom says, must be some mom and pop dealers. I can't imagine any Madison card show dealers would be upset by deals in the lobby. No, I don't think so. I think there's a certain, I don't want to discriminate against dealers, but it's probably of dealers of a certain age maybe that are complaining about this. Low Roller says, you got blame the dealer since the dealers are overpriced and no one wants the dealer's card. Well, that could be too. Unicorn says, if Bo acted like that promoter, I feel it would actually hurt attendance, which would hurt the dealers as well. Oh, absolutely. That's why I encourage customer to customer, customer to dealer interaction. Dealers want customers to bring their shit in, and not all the time. It's somebody brings in stuff. It's not going to get to every dealer, whether it is taken by a dealer right out front or the 5th dealer, or somebody else oversees it. And when they walk away, like, hey, I want that. So, and I'm totally okay with that. That encourages attendance, and it encourages dealers to come back, because they're not only selling cards at their tables, but they're buying stuff to resell. I don't get the thought process behind that promoter, what he's thinking. Gem City says, it's an old school. I feel like it's the old Moose Lodge, cigarette-filled, smoky Moose Lodge card show from 1988, where it's just, you don't adapt. Gem City says, agree with you, Unicorn. It's the gray areas I don't like to see, but at my small show, I've not seen any issues like that yet. Tom Coleman says, in the CFL, I've seen 39-1 games. John's in the house. What's going on? Bo should put a sign up banning LRS from selling to other customers at his show. Philly Joe says, no, Unicorn. Person approaches me, want to buy my base cards and top loaders with good cards since I am sitting at a table eating food. Can the host kick me out? I mean, that's at the host's discretion. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're, I don't know. So at the hotel, like, I got my hand slapped because people were setting up at one of the shows last year, setting up on tables in the cafe. They're like, those are for our customers, and they're selling cards and setting up. Now, again, it's another gray area. I instruct security at the Alliant Energy Center shows to not allow people laying out cards on the concession stand tables. Those are for concession stands. If you want to trade at those tables, yes. If two people are exchanging and it's clearly a customer-to-customer interaction, that's okay. But I don't want some kid with a Pelican case opening it up and splaying out his cards trying to sell. That's not okay. That's when security steps in. No, you can't do that. You're not going to get kicked out. You're going to be told to stop. And then if you don't listen, then you will be removed. Cooter says, kid got hooked up with an autographed bat ball in private meetup with a Phillies player who hit it. Gem City says, more reason for Bo to have kids so he can experience this kind of nonsense, right? Max says, not surprising what happened considering the source of the fan, those Phillies fans. Max says, I understand the sentiment of the no dealing in the lobby as dealers are paying to be there and want the money spent with them or the product brought to them. There's a lot of people that don't know how to act in unwritten rules it shows. I agree 100%. I've had to ask people to step away from my tables. Basically every show I've done and deal somewhere else. I pay for the table footage and don't need it plugged up from someone giving someone else money. Absolutely. And there also has to be, while you say that, especially at the hotel show, like at Max's table, Max has customers that block other dealers' tables. Like there's guys that are waiting for Max, and this is why another reason I moved to the Alliant, we've outgrown the space. And so when you have dealers with a lot of people surrounding a table, it's blocking somebody else's table. And they're like, these Pokemon, I got sports cards on my table. These Pokemon guys are just standing around shooting the shit, waiting for Max. And that's, another issue you have when you have people, and that's not the only, there's other, we had a downstairs, we had back and forth. We had Pokemon on one side, and we had a sports guy who set up a table on the side, and they both had large crowds. Again, a good reason to move across the street. Unicorn wants to know what low roller scratcher's age is. Max says, but I'd never advertise it at a show, not doing that, right? Michael agrees, Max. I've had this happen, oddly, when I was set up across from you. Not your fault. People plopping their binders on my... There you go. People plopping their binders on my display cases and doing trades. Yeah, on Michael's table. Red lights in the crane. What's going on? Good morning. And so far, I don't think we've experienced any of those issues at the Alliant. We might experience those issues now. Also, I don't think we've experienced those issues at the hotel since expanding the show to 2 days with the Pokemon only show on Sunday. I've got a couple dealers that skip Saturday, which I'm happy with. I'm happy to get some of the Pokemon out of Saturday's show, and not that I want them out of the show. I just want more sports on Saturday than on Sunday. Now, it sucks when sports dealers don't come through or they cancel or whatever, and then you have to pluck, Pokemon off the list. But we have Pokemon dealers doing Sunday only, and I think that also alleviates the crowd because Pokemon is big, right? Pokemon is a lot bigger than sports cards right now, and brings in a lot more people. And so with a lot more people, you have those crowds congregating at times. So I think doing the Pokemon only show alleviates that. Now, it may become an issue on the Sunday show with those crowds crowding up on other tables. So we'll see. I don't think that's been an issue yet, but you never know. Where are we at? Max says, then those dealers just need to ask people politely to move. Not my fault, LOL. But it's also going against what you just said. Those dealers are paying for the space. They shouldn't have to police their area. If nobody was at your table and somebody set a binder on your table, yeah, you would ask them not to do it. But would you be annoyed that somebody across the way has a crowd of people and their customers are impinging on the space you paid for? Mark says, last week I was in the middle of a trade with someone and someone tried buying stuff in the trade coming to me and from the guy's case while at my table. I wasn't happy. Yeah, and that's what we don't want. We don't want people, like I mentioned a perfect example. I was a customer at the show, at my show, and I was at another dealer's table, and I was going through his bargain boxes, and a guy came up and offered a card to Craig, the dealer. Craig looks at it. I saw it and I was interested, but I kept my mouth shut. And Craig goes, "No, I'm not interested." And so the deal, that interaction was over with. And I said, "What do you want for that?" It was a Caitlin Clark Orange Ice Prism rookie. I said, "Well, what do you want for it?" He's like, "I don't know, $15. And I'm like, "I'll take it." And so we did a customer to customer deal right at Craig's table, but you allow that deal, like that customer came up to Craig. What you don't do in that situation is intrude on that conversation, or if they're negotiating, be like, "Oh, I'll do this." That's a no-no. But if you wait until that the dealer says no, and then like, "Hey, what do you got?" "Okay, I'll buy it." Cody wants to know, what are the dates for the October show? So the October show, we're back at the Alliance. So it is Saturday, October 25th. What's the last? It's the last Saturday. I believe we're the last Saturday of every month now for the rest of the year. October 25th. And that's at the Alliant Energy Center. So this month it's Saturday the 27th. That's the regular card show. And then Sunday the 28th is the Pokemon show. Saturday, October 25th is the Alliant Energy Center show. November 29th and 30th is the Madison Card Show and Madison Pokemon Show. That is Thanksgiving weekend. And then December 27th, it's the Madison Card Show at the Alliant. I am working dates. Will likely be at the Alliant in January and February, and then back at the hotel in March. So I haven't signed contracts, but I do have dates. I have the dates that I want. So that's what it's looking like. I might get those locked in this week, just so I can get the dates I want. Max says, "My dad and I are too busy to worry about what the 10th customer in line is doing. Sorry, not sorry." Well, Dan, what's going on? Mark says, "I let the guy know if he wanted to do it, please walk away, and I wouldn't want to do any trade with him afterwards, as some of the cards were part of the trade." Unicorn says, "I saw a dealer flip his lid at the National a couple of years ago because a guy put his coat on his display case while browsing. I agreed with the dealer." Again, gray area. Is flipping your lid an appropriate response? No. I wouldn't flip my lid. And for a coat, that's a little, flipping your lid over a coat on a display case. Again, ask Knight, like, "Hey, can you remove your coat from the display? You're covering up my cards." Do you flip your lid? No, don't flip your lid, but you can. Don't listen. Don't listen to what I tell you to do. But flipping your lid is a little extreme. Is that an appropriate thing to do at a card show? Putting anything on somebody's display case, especially without asking? Absolutely not. Always ask to put. If you're doing a deal, like, don't just put your Pelican case on the display case. Some people don't care. Some people flip their lid. Some people don't want you to do it and ask nicely. I think asking, if you don't want somebody to do it, just ask nicely. Gem City says, "Encroachment, 5-yard penalty on the dealers with the crowd." Max says that, then just ask them to move easy. Unicorn says, "What about the dealer after Craig that may have wanted that card?" Tough shit. He didn't approach the next dealer. So do you have to wait until a customer goes to every single dealer in the room before you can approach them? Fuck that. No, that's not happening. Lake Worth, Florida can do that. We're not doing that shit in Madison. Unicorn says, "I agree with you. Just want to hear your thoughts." No, it's absolutely not. If two people are in the lobby, if they're waiting in line, it might not even hit one table. Two customers before they even pay to get in the show do a deal. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. Some card might not even see a single dealer at the show. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay. To wait for somebody to walk around the entire show and show it to every single dealer at the show, that's just preposterous. No, absolutely not. Low Roller says, did Craig was upset? No, he was not. No, he was happy. He was happy. Dan says, have you had to chase anyone into the parking lot across the street since the last time you mentioned? No, that's the only time that's ever happened. Probably will be the only time. Hopefully. Michael says to Unicorn, yeah, I wanted that card. Just kidding. That happens and doesn't bother me. This isn't my full-time job, though. Tom says, Dan, that's my job now. There you go. Stick Tom on him. Max says, I don't know where responsibility falls if I have a line. Is it mine to ask people to move? Is it yours because you are running the show? I think the most responsibility is me. But here's the problem that it's a problem for you. If it becomes a problem, my responsibility is to put you in a place where your line doesn't impinge on others, and you're not going to like that. So it is the promoter's responsibility. But the results of what the promoter decides is probably not in the best interest in the dealer. So if there's a problem, if I have other dealers complaining about your line, Max, you're the problem. You're the root of the problem. You're not the problem. You're the root of the problem. And I have to move that. Fortunately, with the Pokemon show, and that has alleviated that issue. But it is ultimately the promoter's responsibility. If there's people clogging up, I've had to move people out of the aisles on the sides because there's only two ways to go this way at the show. And when one of them's blocked at a table, that's an issue. The problem is when you have a show for so long, you want your spot. I want to keep you happy, but I also want to keep other dealers happy. And when I have multiple dealers, like, okay, I've had this issue. Can you put me in a different spot because Max has too many people around? It's like, well, who do you make happy? One dealer or 7 dealers? So that's ultimately as a promoter's responsibility. Yeah, and unfortunately, that is that's a good problem. But good problems also create bad problems, like creating fire hazards and not allowing customers to walk freely through the show when they're blocking the aisles or blocking other dealers' tables. So, and that's my responsibility as the promoter to make sure that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, the results of what I do may not be in line with what you want. Do I move you as one dealer, or do I move 7 dealers every month because they're complaining that people are hovering over their tables and doing deals at their tables? Low Roller says, I go every dealer to sell my base cards. There you go. Michael says to Max, I don't think anyone is saying it's your fault responsibility. It's just annoying when you have to ask people several times in the show and lose sales because potential buyers don't want to wait. Absolutely. Dan says to Tom Bowe, by the way, did you ban that guy as he tried to come back? He's been banned at like every show in Wisconsin. It was not my show. It was in Janesville. So I've never seen him at my show. We kept an eye out because I think my first Alliance show was like the week after that happened down in Janesville. But I haven't seen anything about him since that Janesville where the police were called. And because I know he was caught in at least one, possibly 2 or more, probably more card shops in the Milwaukee area. But haven't heard anything since that was back in early June. So it's been 3 months, July, August, September, 3 months since that went down. Tom says to Dan, not yet, but we did share his picture with the security at Alliant Energy. Max says, oh, well, give him a box of Kleenex next time for their tears. We're going to give you Kleenex when I have to move your ass into the closet. How about those tears, Max? Michael says, you are just too damn good at this. Is that what you want me to say? You are too good at this. Just jealous of your dominance. John Maybe says they should take notes about what Max is selling so they can have a line at their tables. There you go. It's Pokemon, so the sports card guys won't want to do that, but the Pokemon guys will. Max says, I don't need anybody to tell me that, Mikey. Just look at the line. LOL. Orlando's in the house. Good morning. All right. Good football weekend. Hopefully it's a better weekend tonight with the Bears walloping the Vikings tonight on Monday Night Football. Max says, I had no idea that he was also hitting shops too. Saw Black Gold got hit by a regular customer. Yeah. Yeah, that dude from Janesville got hit. I know that, and it came out after the case, or actually, so he hit the Oak Creek show, I think he was kicked out of the Oak Creek show because we knew he was there and we were keeping an eye on him. And here's the thing. And so I want to go into this. Because I want people to know, no matter how many cameras you have, no matter how many eyes you have on a potential thief, no matter how many security guards you have, theft is still going to happen at card shows. It's just going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen. You try to limit it. Yes, with signs and cameras and security guards, you limit the possibilities. We had like 4 eyes on this guy, 8 eyes, 4 sets of eyes. And he was still able to steal. And, it was after the fact. We didn't catch him in the act. It was after the fact that, I think Mike and I were up front watching, like we were like watching him. And I think he knew we were watching him. And eventually, like I had customers at my table. I think Mike had to go take care of a dealer, and whoever else, the dealer himself like went in. So it was just his kids. So it was just, and that's what thieves do. They take advantage of the moment. And you can't, unless you have a dedicated security guard to every single person in the room, not likely. You just can't get around it. So he was actually caught at the Oak Creek show the week prior. So we had a photo of him. It's like, yeah, that's him. So we were keeping an eye on him. Still was able to get away with some stuff, and I think he gave stuff back, but we're pretty sure he probably was able to get other stuff. Low Roller says, do you see people selling Bitcoin trading cards? I do not. ET Card Collector says, good morning. Loved Saturday. Didn't watch a single second of any football on Sunday. Wow. Did go to the Dallas Card Show Friday. Lots of fun and packed as always. Very nice. I don't think I watched a single second of football on Saturday. What did I do Saturday? I had football on Saturday, but I wasn't really paying attention. I did have quite a bit of games on. I had games on throughout the day. I had the Illinois game on, and then I had the Wisconsin game on for a little bit. I had the Michigan-Oklahoma game on during my live stream Saturday night. So I had college football on, but I just I don't get into college football. I follow the stats of the box scores. I have it on as background, but I just don't watch. Like NFL, I'll watch NFL and get into it, but just don't get into college. Found Treasures is here. What's up? Oh, and something you don't want to hear. My fantasy baseball team has now won 7 straight matchups. I rallied back. I was in 11th place. I was 4-9. My record was 4-9 7 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago. And I rallied back for 7 straight wins, got the 4. I was in 11th out of 12th place in my fantasy league. Didn't make a single move at the trade deadline. Had many offers, declined them all, said, no, I'm going to rally back and make the playoffs. Didn't think I'd get I thought I'd sneak in as the number 6 seed, the last spot, but got the number 4 seed and won my matchup outright. And now I'm on to the semifinals. And I think it's straight chalk. I think the number 2 seed beat the number 3 seed. So now I face off against the number 1 seed. We got a lot of parity though. It's I think even the number 1 seed's only like 14-9. My record was like 10-9-3 or something. So playoffs week 2. ET Card Collector says my Rangers take on the Brew Crew this week. Hopefully we can help the Cubbies and win some games against Milwaukee. Go Rangers. Yes, go Rangers. Low Roller says the thief punishment cut his hand. Yeah, let's do it. Max says refreshing to hear baseball talk. Sick of football already. It's going to be a long fall. Long fall. All right. Cubs lose again yesterday. I think they need to go 9 to. They can still win 90 games. They've got to go 9-10. I think they have 19 games. So basically, if they play 500, they'll win 90 games. But they haven't really been playing 500 lately. I think they have actually been playing 500 the last couple of weeks. Michael Renicky says, help the Cubs puke. Max says, I'm just glad you aren't in the they must need it more than me camp when people steal. Bury them further if they steal. I agree. All right. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. No eBay Live today. We'll be back on tomorrow, probably tomorrow night. Give me the day to finish up any shipping and then tackle that card room next door. All right. Have a wonderful Monday. Go Bears. Go Bears. Bears Vikings tonight, Monday Night Football. Bear down Chicago. Have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you tomorrow morning.